It's like if a man were the most beautiful man ever, but I'm not emotionally connected to him, I'm going to ignore him.
But do you think that it's important though? Do you think physical attraction is rather important?
Yes.
It's not going to be as important as it is for a woman, obviously, but it is important though.
It is important.
And they've actually done studies where they put like triggers on these women, and they'll show them these photos, and they'll ask them to say who they think is more attractive, and it'll be like the guy with the dad bod who's like, you know, holding like the kids or whatever, and then it'll be like the broad shoulders fireman, and they'll always say, oh, the dad bod's more attractive, but then when their brain is showing that they're much more aroused by the fireman guy. So I think there is a little bit of like, but in terms of long-term relationships, obviously, I believe I agree with you.
I think that women will sacrifice that physical component for the emotional aspect of it. I think men tend to sacrifice the emotional component for the physical aspect of it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Snaps.
Yeah.
Can we do snaps?
Could you repeat that one more time?
That was a good point. Yeah.
I think women sacrifice the physical component in order to get that emotional factor of it. I think men will tend to sacrifice the emotional component.
I've
for
seen
the
that with
physical aspect.
countless of my friends where they'll like, it'll be the sex will be really good,
Yes.
and she's really hot,
Insane.
and everyone's like, they post them on their Instagram, and it's like, oh, look at my hot girlfriend. But then when you look at them when no one else is around, they're just on their phones, they
Not
have
in
no
love.
connection,
Yep.
and then she takes him for half after no time. And
I'm
then-
also opposed, of course. I think we three can agree, and maybe, I don't know about you guys, but I'm also opposed to no-fault divorce. I
Yes,
think
I
that
am
all
too.
the laws need to be in place to make sure that a family stays together and basically, I don't know, it's like the most productive for family building, essentially.
I would agree with you. Do you guys think no-fault divorce? Yes, no?
No.
What is that?
No?
You can
So
basically
you can't divorce.
Well, it's basically you can divorce. You can divorce. You just can't divorce for any.
We're sort of.
frivolous reason.
I want to
I
linger
would.
here a
No,
little
I disagree.
bit on the rating
Tangentially.
thing. You made the point that was it that men tend to care more about looks than women do?
Yeah.
I actually disagree. Here's a hot take. I think women care far more about looks than do men.
Is that been your experience?
I think it's true, and here's why I think it's true.
For real.
So if we look at the things that are within men and women's control, women care far more about things that are totally outside of men's control when it comes to their physical appearance. For example, physical size, height, hair, penis size. These are all physical things that are totally outside of men's control. If a man's balding, out of his control, most women would prefer a man with a full head of hair. Women would much prefer a tall guy. Penis size, that's a factor, outside of a man's control. All these things are very physical things, totally outside man's control. However, the things that women can control, like there's really very little that is outside of a woman's control when it comes to that's like make or break when it comes to that are deal breakers.
Can I ask you a follow-up on that?
Sure.
Do you think that a woman would prefer a man who is 5'7", bald, but a billionaire, or a guy who is 6'3", jacked, fireman, yoked, massive cock, but earns 40K a year? Who do you think they would prefer as their life partner?
As a life partner?
Yeah.
Well, she'd much prefer to breed, like have children with the, I would say the...
When you look at like the...
But I mean,
who do you think gets more girls?
I don't know if it's a totally fair comparison because like the degree to which your lifestyle is changed with a billionaire, like I don't think many people comprehend like you are set for life. Like you don't have to lift a finger. So I would argue, how often are women going to be posed with those two choices? It's hard to say.
Maybe a woman
but
with a lot of options might have...
I think you also
Both of
have to
those.
factor in, like, even though that's a man with a billionaire and it's obviously like a life-changing experience, you also have to factor in how bonded do you think that man is going to be to that woman and to the children that he has. Like Elon Musk, for example. He's on to his third baby mama now. None of those children really are reared by him. They're reared by the mother or by other babysitters. And those are factors that women tend to also look for as well. The only people who are going to go after a man with that much resources are those who are basically emotionally bankrupt.
But then also, I mean, we can also make the argument, why is it the case that, for example, on dating apps, women only swipe on like the top 5-10% of men?
I'll pause.
Well, because that's how.
Where it's strictly about assessing one's physical appearance.
Well, that's
so
not
women are much pickier when it comes to physical appearance.
I agree with
And
you.
I'd actually like to go around the table on this. What percentage of men do you find physically attractive?
Yeah. I don't know, like maybe 40.
40%? Okay.
I don't know.
What about you?
I would say between 70 and 80. I feel like I acknowledge people's physical like features, and I'm like, I can acknowledge you're attractive without being attractive to you.
That makes sense. Okay, what about you?
50-50.
50-50?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Wait, what was the full question?
What percentage of men, like if you're walking down the street, are you physically attracted to? That's the
Probably
question. What did you
probably-
think the question was, Kayla?
Like just attractive, not like actually like
Jump out of my skin
Yeah.
attracted to you.
No, you don't. No, I'm just saying, like, think of it binary. Yes
Yeah.
or no.
No, I definitely say 50%.
There's a lot of cap going on here, but okay. What about you?
I'm gonna be 100% honest, and I'm gonna tell you why. None.
What? Because you're in a relationship.
Well, duh, because obviously I'm in a relationship.
Okay, but like, can you maybe hypothetically, like, let's assume you weren't. Is your boyfriend gonna
No,
like
like,
beat you
I
if
don't
you
usually-
hypothetically answer the question? Like,
Can you let me finish? I'm so sorry. But so I've been with my boyfriend for a couple of months, so obviously like I know what you're talking about, like girls walking down the street. Like before I had my boyfriend, like would I be walking down the street and just look at a guy and be like, he's cute? No.
I would.
so even before you were in a relationship, you found all guys unattractive?
Not unattractive, but I didn't gush over them or turn my head or look twice.
No, but that's not really the question. I'm not asking. I'm not.
Oh, so
they
you
don't
mean
have
just
to be like
attractive in
this
general?
like top tier specimen, but just like
Did you
a guy
find
that, do you find
the
them
basketball
attractive?
team? Was the basketball team attractive?
Okay, I get your question now. Like, do I find men attractive? Yeah,
What percentage
I'm bi.
would you say?
What percentage of men do you
Oh.
find attractive?
20%.
Has anybody here been on dating apps?
Yes.
Has been on, what percentage of men are you swiping yes on?
30.
10%.
Well, that's very different than your previous. So if
Definitely
in person
30.
somehow it's 50-50, but on dating apps it's.
No, I meant to say like I changed mine from 50-50 to 10%.
You've been on dating apps?
Yeah.
What percentage of men on dating apps do you swipe yes on?
Not a lot. Actually, I want to change my answer too because I didn't understand it at first. Probably like 5%.
Okay, there we go. Now the truth comes. Okay.
I was just gonna say that I stand by mine being
That's
70,
fine.
80 because I think everybody, all the men in this room are attractive, and I like objectively so. Like I think that you are.
We know.
So I
Thanks.
just
That just made
Thanks,
him
babe.
unattractive.
What about
I
you?
said that just made him unattractive.
What percentage of men, like on dating apps, what percentage of men do you swipe yes on?
On dating apps, none. I would say 2%.
2%? What about you?
I don't really use dating apps, but I find that like it's really easy to like find qualities where I'm like, oh, like that's attractive in a person.
Just looks.
getting
Just
started.
looks. Walking down the street if you're not on dating apps.
I don't go outside much. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a streamer. I don't leave my room.
I
I'm a
don't know.
gaming
How about,
streamer.
did you go to college?
No, I did not.
Did
Like
you go to the
generally, I
grocery
think
store?
I can find. I feel like I can find something attractive in like almost every guy that's like able-bodied and like healthy enough. Just like
Okay. All right. What about you?
I feel like we've missed out on our other back there.
Oh. What's yours?
I'd probably say like 5%.
5%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm a person who like when I look at dating or attractiveness, I look in personality.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't attracted to my exes, but I got to know them, and that's what made me like who they are. I like people for who they are.
You weren't attracted.
Did you tell them
physically
that?
attracted to
Yeah,
any
they
of
know
your-
that. They know I wasn't
knew?
attracted to them. But
Shit.
once I got to know them,
Sweet.
but now I do think they're attractive because
Oh.
I like who they are.
Don't tell
No,
that to your next
period. I
ex.
get what
Tell
you're
him,
saying.
tell him,
Don't
tell
tell
him there was
a
a
guy
fire. as soon
It's
as
like
you saw
his
him.
personality made him
Couldn't
cute.
contain it. Who's next?
See, like, I don't like dating apps for that specific reason that it's based on looks. So I don't even look at what they look like. I just go, yeah. So I used to swipe like 10% when it's like on the streets. I'd say like 40%.
Okay.
Like more on the street.
What
yeah.
about you?
I don't use dating apps, but typically
Ever?
in any room, I'll find a guy that kind of is attracted to me. So maybe
Okay,
like
well,
5 to
did you go to
1%.
college?
Yes.
What percentage of the men when you went to college did you find attractive? Physically attractive?
Maybe one every 3 semesters, and even then, I didn't really find anyone
Okay,
in
so
college
I mean,
attractive.
checkmate. Women are way pickier when it comes to
Yes.
physical attractiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, but I think that
Women are
women,
Checkmate.
women
are
will
naturally more
compromise.
But do you
Take the
think-
L.
But
Also,
but they're
That's fine
It's
with
okay.
me.
they're pickier. But who do you think it's
is
more
it at 10?
important to?
See, I think women are.
That's a good question. I think as a man, you can, like, if your personality's on point, if you have some sort of status or you're wealthy, for example, you can make up for a lack of physical attractiveness.
I don't think you can make up for it as a girl.
No, as a guy.
Yeah,
as a guy.
But I'm saying as a girl though, I don't think you really can.
They can make up for it by being pleasant.
That's true. That's true. There is ways you can make up for it.
Why you laugh about
Or
that?
quote unquote wifey material.
Pleasant,
dude.
Pleasant is the nicest way you can say it.
A lot of men will like happily. If it's like she's a 9 but she's a fucking raging lunatic bitch versus like she's a 6 but she's submissive sweetheart, brings you peace, never quarrelsome.
Every day.
I think a lot of, like for long, maybe that chick, she's good for a short-term thing. I'm not particularly interested in any short-term encounters, but for like long-term monogamous commitment, like, yeah, I think we'll sacrifice a couple points in looks if she's like a really like mellow, cool girl who brings us peace and isn't a fucking headache.
Yep.
So is that your preference of a woman?
What?
Just
a woman who doesn't quarrel?
Who's not a
that's
fucking headache.
It says in the Bible.
Yes.
Sleep on the roof and be with a
Proverbs
quarrelsome woman.
21:19. Better to
Man, he's been reading.
Better to live in the desert than with a quarrelsome and nagging wife.
Are there any women in your life that fit that criteria?
What's that?
Are there any women in your life so far that fit that criteria?
Oh, absolutely. I think I've actually had some really wonderful women who I've dated. I've really only maybe dated. Most of the women I dated have been fantastic, great women.
That's good.
Yeah. So, but I have dated, like I did date a girl who had BPD, and that was a major fucking mistake. And my life was fucking like constant. It was constant conflict with her, and there was never peace. And like having had that experience and dating like super mellow, calm girls, and we're never like quarreling or conflict. Like it's night and fucking day, and I'll gladly give like some looks points away for like just a really cool like girl that's,
especially if you're busy. If you're a busy guy, you do not want
my
to be
life
fighting
is my life is stressful enough as it is, so like I don't want to, like, if you're the dudes who will like entertain like crazy chicks are dudes who probably have nothing fucking going for them, because a dude who's like on his purpose, he doesn't need that shit. His life is probably stressful enough. He's fighting with the world, so he doesn't want to invite in, like, he wants his girl to be his peace. And if she's not,
I feel like that's fair enough to say for women as well, though.
I think that's fair. If a girl wants a guy who's calm and mellow and, you know, is gonna also like, because dudes can definitely bring fucking drama and conflict too.
Do you think there's more like crazy psycho lunatic women or female, or women or male?
It's probably a little more women.
I'd say women.
You think so? I don't know.
So.
I've met a lot of.
Wait, aren't there more women?
Why is it? Look, I don't date dudes, women, so I don't know. But like, look, I've heard from women. There's some like nasty dudes out there. I'm not saying all dudes are perfect. Not at all. A lot of guys can move in very scummy ways and fuck your life up the same way a woman can. But like, why is there is certainly a trope, and I think there's certainly truth in stereotypes to some degree. Like, why is it the trope, like the nagging wife? You don't really hear about the nagging boyfriend, the nagging husband, typically. Like, how many of your dudes be nagging you, really?
Okay, a couple things.
I mean, maybe you've encountered it, but like, dudes are not nagging chicks, really.
No, but you hear about the abusive.
Like, aren't there more women on the planet than men, though? So that would just be the case at the end of the day.
I'm not sure if that statistically pans out.
I'm not
something
sure,
to think about.
but I was just a question.
I think I think a woman to her extreme is going to be insane. I think a man to his extreme is going to be a workaholic. And I think that typically if a man is emotional and chaotic, I think he's typically someone who is, as Brian said, unemployed, has nothing going for him. And if a woman is a workaholic, she's also kind of a minority, where it's like you're kind of forsaking that which makes you a woman. It's just that those are the ones those tendencies are the unhealthy expressions of womanhood, which is being insane, or an unhealthy expression of
if you look at the bell curve of like personality disorders as well, or like if you look at the bell curve of aggression, for example, all of the psychopaths at the very top, who are like the most crazy, are all guys. That's why prisons are packed out with men. That's also why like the corporate world is packed out with men, because you get these guys at the top who are just like willing to step on anyone's head and psychotic. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know where the more psychos are, to be honest.